Hello, I'm Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expoz on June 16, 2019, 1:27 a.m. I got a problem, guys, and I want to tell you about it, and you need to hear this. Why, in the year 2014, the United States no longer recommends active monitoring of Ebola. And that's it. For current information on Ebola, visit the CDC's website. And I believe the CDC is in Atlanta. That's it. They're no longer interested. So let me read you something else. It's 2014. This written back a little bit earlier than that, about 4,000 years ago. Actually, a little bit longer than that. Take that back. 2,000 years ago. Matthew chapter 24, verse 7, and it's a simple one. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. That's everywhere. Now, why am I going here? Well, the United States just said that no longer need to monitor Ebola virus. I mean, there it is. I'm looking at it. Let me read you some things about viruses, famine, pestilences, plagues. Let me read you some of these things. The Black Death, the causes, the symptoms and impact, history, was a devastating global epidemic of bubonic plague that struck Europe and Asia in mid-1300s. And read from there. I'm going to tell you how many died in a minute. And plague, define a plague. All right, a plague is often fatal disease caused by bacterium. This is ticks, this is in rats, and they're transmitted to humans, usually by fleas as well. I said ticks, maybe it's fleas, but and bitten by rats and rodents. Well, the bubonic plague, the most common type, is characterized by the tender, swollen, limp buboes, or little fever. Their nose that's under your arm and your groin area, just big sores that swell up and burst, and it just, well, it kills you quickly. I'm going to tell you how quick it'll kill in just a moment. And then you have a famine. Well, we'll define a famine. A famine is widespread. Well, there's no food. Where's the food? Caused by several factors, including war, inflation, crop failure, population imbalance, or government policies. Well, there's war, government policies, and scarcity of food. There's three of them right there by the government. And it's usually accompanied or followed by regional malnutrition, starvation, epidemic. Okay, what about pestilence? Definition of pestilence. Again, we're going to get another over here. Define pestilence. It's the same. It's English translation of this is a usually fatal epidemic disease, especially bubonic. Didn't we just talk about the bubonic over here? I think we did. Especially the bubonic plague. And where did this have an impact if we can think back? Bubonic plague. Go back over here. Go back to Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. And again, there'll be famines and pestilences. Well, famine is, plague is listed there. The Black Death is listed there. And pestilence. How do you get these things? Well, some of them you get by mice, rats, by fleas. Others are transmitted by bodily fluid, by person-to-person contact, by sexual contact. But yet, our government sees it okay to quit monitoring these diseases in 2014. And there has been an explosion of these diseases recently. Once in year 2014 in the Congo. The biggest year they ever had was 2014 in the Congo. But yet, we need to stop monitoring these. Let me try to get to another one. The Ebola virus, again, is a deadly virus that causes fearsome symptoms. And I'm going to try to see, anyway, it's prominent being high fever and massive internal bleeding. Ebola virus kills as many as 90% of the people it affects. It is one of the viruses that is capable of causing hemorrhage or bloody fever. Now, one more. Congo Ebola case hits record for most reported in a single day. What day was this? This day was April the 30th, 2019. But yet we still say to keep the door closed on monitoring these viruses. Why? I know why. I'll tell you exactly why. To not hurt anyone's feelings or to be racist. That's it. Don't talk about these people because you're mean to them, because they're bringing us a virus. Well, I got off my track a little bit. In the end, we will see diseases and pestilence. The country that most cared about these things since polio, mumps, measles, TB, pneumonia, pleurisy, no longer cares. That's us. That's this country. All it takes is one, get this, one to wipe out a nation inside of 365 days. It is airborne sexual contact, bodily fluids. And again, that's this that we're talking about right here. The Black Death. How many people did it kill? Well, it killed at least a third, if not more, of the population of the planet. They'll hide that from you, every bit of it. They will hide that fact from you. There was between, well, a billion, now get that, I'm not saying a billion, no, there was a billion or less people on this planet in the year 1300, right in a peak, 1347 to 1351. There were 75 million people died. 1347 to 1351. 75 million people died, and there was only 500 million on this planet. The total loss guesstimate is at 200 million people died of the bubonic plague. The medieval era, the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, when there was a population of only 500 to 600 million, 200 million of them died. I would say we're in the gates that's swinging open right now to the end of days, right here, right before us, right now. And why does it take 365 days to kill a nation? This nation, everyone in it can die in 1 year if it kills 90% of the people it contacts. Keep in mind, the government is no longer interested in monitoring these things. Government's not interested in a lot of things as long as you don't talk about population control, which is something that Sanders, the socialist, something that Clinton, she agrees, something that Bill Gates agrees, that we should reduce the population of this planet by billions. Yes, billions, not just a billion, but billions. Open your eyes, America. We're coming under judgment today. Now, it has already begun. We're under judgment. Any day, we're out of here, but we are under judgment. United States have only, now this year, 2018, a third of our crop. That's it. A third of our crop will make it. And a big reason for that is look at the Mississippi River. How much of the crop just died in the last 2 weeks? Well, 66% of it died. Middle East reported countries, exporting countries, will have only a 25% crop in 2019. Heat wave in 2018 and floods in 2019. And what did that do? It brought hundreds of millions of locusts that came everywhere and destroyed the crop. They savaged 25% of it. Pork, chicken, beef imports are all down by 25%. Why? Because it's tainted. It's poison, and it's coming out of the Asian countries, China, Bangladesh, Japan. Americans' single biggest problem is bringing down our nation. Get that? America's single biggest problem bringing down our nation. Who's doing it? Satan's warriors. The people that you should look at to get the truth about what's going on worldwide. You get lies. The people who you look at who should mentor this nation, to have this nation to do its best all the time, they've abandoned us. They're called Democrats. They want it their way, not your way. They want you under a socialist government like Sanders. And look, how many, all these other people, I want him to call their names because I'll be, you know what I'll be doing if I call their names. Guys, we have liberal media that no longer tells the truth. They'll tell the same story over and over and over. Guess what? And you had Biden had his great meeting today. Guess how many people he had in his audience? 75. No, not 750. 75. Good going, Biden. Sanders can't get 100 people in a gym. But yet their message to America, we're better for you than Donald Trump is, because we're going to pay your insurance, your health insurance. We're going to pay everything. In other words, they're going to own you. Go back and read the history of how the Jews became the slaves, lost everything they had, and was that way for 400 years. This is what our government wants for us today. And by God, I'm going to fight to keep my ass out of that fire they want us in. And let me tell you one more thing. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Y'all remember that. When you accept Christ, Christ will deliver you to live in you, to inhabit you, the Holy Spirit. Who's greater than the Holy Spirit? No one. Guys, we got a problem coming, but we know it's all biblical. But what we didn't know is that it has begun. Now you know. Jody Wolf Expoz.